Good evening.
Why are you saying good evening, Mama?
Hi, daughter. How you doing?
Bless your sweet soul. I tell you that Mama's always like I tell y'all. Mama thinks this is her show. She done jump in talking about good evening, and I said, Mama, I'm gonna press record now, and she just done jumped on. I'm like, okay, Mama, I tell you, Mama, take it every time. So I love having conversations with Miss Gloria. And so I told Miss Gloria, I said, we got to figure out a way that other people can hear the conversations that I have with her. So this is our way of doing that. And so I said to Mama, I said, you know, I want to talk about the Mama Says, but we won't always talk about the Mama Says directly. But Mama Says are always part of our conversation. And so I'd had lunch earlier and I thought about the Mama Said that says, basically, I'm not going to read it from the book, the way it says in the book, but basically, um, Mama said, eat before you leave home.
Mm-hmm.
People won't
Yes.
think you are a pig. Now, guys,
Right.
like I always say, I'm always going to respect my grandmother's language. So if you feel some kind of way, I apologize, but I'm not going to change the language that she used because that's the language that she used, and I'm going to remain true to that language. But yeah, I think it says, yeah, eat before you leave home so people will not say you eat like a pig. Mama, you've told me this forever.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think grandma wanted you to understand you need to eat before you leave home?
There could be a number of reasons that mom said that. First, uh, when I was growing up, mom was a little different. And as you will hear people talking about now, how they went from let's go to revival, homecoming, or something that maybe people can relate to. And maybe back in the day, people brought their food to church, and you go from one person box to another person box getting some food. I didn't do that. Mom was not gonna have that. You're gonna eat before you leave home, and then after eating before you leave home, she would always uh, prepare a box for daddy for the people to come and eat out of. Then she would prepare a small little box for me to eat out of.
Hmm.
So if I would have been a little bit extra hungry, I was not gonna go to the other people's box, but then I had my own box of food. So people eat like they haven't had food before. And people ate that way until just a few years ago. And they still do it now for, let me say, homecoming, or you might say revival or family friend day, whatever day they use in different areas. All this food is going to be laid out on the table. You can eat whatever you want at my church. At my church, you can eat till you drop. But since that was instilled into me, I do not even. I take plenty of food to church, and you always say I take too much, and I spread the table because I'm on the kitchen committee. But I don't eat any of that food. And when I'm working with that food, I'm not even hungry.
Mhm.
I haven't eaten before I left home, but once I work in food all morning, getting it ready for them to eat after they turn out from the first service, I'm not even hungry. And I'm not going to eat a mouthful until I get back home, back into my own kitchen. Then I may eat something. But everything that I put in my pans or pots and all that stuff, that's going to be left whether we at a church, whether we at a banquet, or whatever it is, because it has stuck with me. Eat before you leave home, so people won't think that you eat like a pig. Because when I prepare my food, I can eat it. If I'm starving, I can eat 2 drumsticks. And if I'm really starving, I can eat 3 drumsticks. And nobody has anything to say about it because I prepared it. But although I prepare it and take it, I don't eat. I don't eat when I go other places because I guess it stayed with me. Don't eat when you're out because people will say that you eat like a pig because you may accidentally eat too much. And so it just stuck with me. I don't eat. And I don't even get hungry. That's the crazy thing about it. I don't even get hungry.
Well, you know,
I come back into my door, then I can fix me some food. And a lot of time I don't want it then because I've been around food all
mhm,
afternoon and I
mhm,
still don't want it. Uh-huh.
mhm.
So nobody can, but what they can say about me, and Miss Gloria, she eats nothing. I wonder why is that? Don't eat because people will think you eat like a pig. I guess it just stayed with me all my life. So I don't even get hungry around food. And if we even go out buffet, I'm gonna eat a certain thing. I'm gonna eat my chicken. I'm gonna eat my roll now. You know, I'm gonna eat my roll. I'm gonna eat my chicken. I'm gonna eat my roll. And it's one more thing on that buffet that I'm going to eat. And that's it. That's it. You don't have to tell me twice. You all got to tell me once. If I really understand what you're saying, I got it. Because when we just went to church, just went out a few Sundays ago, the buffet, and they says, Miss Gloria, you're not gonna eat some of this. I think the pastor wife might have told me, you're not gonna eat that. I told them, I'm good. That's all you're gonna eat. I'm good. And truly, I was good. I had my chicken, my roll, and my one more something from the buffet. And I'm really good. I'm not hungry. I guess she dwelled it into me or drilled it into me so hard to I just don't get hungry. I'm around a lot of food. I don't get hungry. So, but eating like a pig, there are a lot of people that bees at different occasions and different events that they really overeat. But when I'm there in their presence, I always start fixing plates because you can just have it all for all I care. Whoever wants it, you can have it. But you always tell me, Mom, y'all fix too much food at your church. I want people to be full. I don't want anybody to come and say they got a teaspoon or a tablespoon of anything. Because that was not the way it was at my house when I grew up. You can eat all you want. You can go back and eat again, and then eat again. That's just how much she cooked for that one meal. I kid you not.
Well, Miss Gloria,
Mm-hmm.
when you make that statement, it takes me back to when I was a little girl. And we've talked about this before. You know, when you bought groceries, I can remember now you had that brown, it was a brownish, it was a light kind of tan brown cookie jar.
Uh huh.
And it used to be on the counter.
Uh
And
huh.
of course, she bought chips and stuff like that for us to eat, me and my middle sister. I never had to ask, could I have whatever? You know, if it was the chips or the the oatmeal raisin cookie thing with the cream stuff
Raised
that I don't
cookies.
like. I like the cookie part, but I don't like the cream part. Whatever
Okay.
it was, we just went and got it. And I remember saying to you years ago, and I've talked about it off and on, when I was
Mm-hmm.
at a relative's house, they had to ask their mother, could they have XYZ? Well, that was a foreign concept for me because we just got what we wanted. Now, I will say this, I think even at that age, I don't know why, and I can't say Malay was like that, but I knew that you just didn't eat everything in one sitting, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
we just never did. And I don't know if it was because we were not restricted, so we didn't feel that we had to consume all of it at one time.
Right.
But I remember that. And then, like you're talking about, eat before you leave home. Well, you said that all the time, and then of course we were with you, or I'm with you, so it's like monkey see, monkey do.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't eat.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't eat. You know, and of course now I do eat at certain events and things like that. But just like when you talked about when you're cooking and preparing food, you don't want it then. Well, likewise, when I'm at events, unless I know that if I don't eat now, I'm not going to eat it. Particularly if it's a roaming event,
Mm-hmm.
then at the meal section, the meal part of the overall event, then I'm going to eat some of the food, and then I'm going to move on to my next thing.
Mm-hmm.
But just in general, if I'm doing an event, you know, people will say, well, you know, you need to eat. Well, when I am, like, I just emceed an event in Georgia this year. When I'm working, I don't even see food. There's no desire to eat because I'm focused on what I have to do. To me, I eat after the event. Now, some people may say, I don't understand that. Well, you're understanding it now because you're seeing what Miss Gloria did. because it's not a part of who I am at that point. Once I'm off duty,
She's off.
then I may get my food, but you see, the event is closing out at that point. So therefore, I'm my food, if I'm getting any, is gonna go with me. And I never think about whether people think I'm eating like a pig did, because one, they know I haven't eaten. But this idea of not eating before you leave home, so that people don't think you eat like a pig. I did a little short story about that, and Mama said, because I think that there's a lot that you can glean from that.
It
Because
is.
one, we know now we live in a world where people body shame.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no matter what you do, people are always watching, and they're looking for something that they can nitpick about and make you feel less than. But
Mm-hmm.
this idea of eating before you leave home, like you said, there are so many different layers to that. Because one, take me now, for instance, and then other people who may have other issues, there's only certain things that I eat, and I eat at a certain time. So there's no reason for me to disrupt everybody else's enjoyment, because it's not time for me to eat. Also, I think about people who do eat a really, really special diet. Sometimes there may not be things there. And you think about it sometimes, they're asked, is there any dietary restrictions? But then that's an added cost to individuals, depending upon what type of event it is. And do you want to pass that cost along to someone? So if you've eaten before you left home, there may be just a little few things that you can, kind of nibble on, but you're not changing or impacting that event where it's so noticeable. But then, Miss Gloria, we were having a conversation recently, and it's like, we grew up where, I'm Southern, as I like to always say, I'm Southern. Who made the potato salad? Uh, who made that pound cake?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, chocolate. Who cake is that? You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm raising my hand. I'm one of them people too, because
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't eat everybody cooking.
I
We
don't know.
said, and so I think about that too. Why is it that we don't eat everybody's cooking? Um, because I don't know. I just grew up with that, guys. Why don't we eat everybody cooking?
I really can't say. I
Bless
can't
you.
say her mom brought that back from Pennsylvania because she lived up there many years, or whether she picked it up here in the South. I don't know. Or was she just simply raised that way also? Because remember, I've always told you that grandmom was up there in Chicago, Illinois. And when she'd come into Anson County, as I've heard you say about somebody being a hoot, you talking about a hoot. She was a hoot. And everything just had to be kind of perfect for her when she did come here to Anson County. To I
So wait a minute now, Mama. Which
don't
one
know.
are you talking
Everybody,
about?
everybody don't.
Was
Let me say this. Let me say this. I'm not stop. Let me say this. Everybody don't cook alike,
no,
and you
no.
got to remember, Mom could cook because that was her job to cook, and she got paid to cook. So, uh, when you get accustomed to eating a certain taste in food, the other people, the way they cook, people don't cook alike. Let's make it real simple. People do not cook anything alike. Because I used to have to always get your dad, and I get your dad, and he'll come in and put a little more grease into something that I have prepared. You don't do that with my food. 'Cause I don't like
That
fat
meat.
meat. So don't put
As you
no fat back meat grease in anything that I am cooking. Do that goes to the trash. I mean, you can eat it, but then I can't eat any of it because you put fat back meat grease in there, and I can't stand fat back meat, nor fat back meat grease. But other people just loves it. I don't know why I don't like it, but I just don't. And they would say, "My God, how can you live in the South and not like fat back meat?" I just don't, and I don't want you to cook that meat and put any of that grease in anything that I have prepared. And most people's, they do put a little of that grease in there because your daddy said the food is not good without it. But if you know how to cook, the food is better without it.
Well, now, Miss Gloria, I can go several ways, but then I'm gonna go multiple ways. But it's just like who's on the phone talking about this. Now, first of all, Miss Gloria, I want to go back. Now, you're saying grandmama lived in Chicago.
Grandma, yep, that'll be your great grandmama.
That's what I thought. That's why I want to get that
Yeah,
grandma. I
that was
want
your
to get that straight
grandma.
now.
She
So,
was in Chicago.
okay, what? Do you know your great? I've never heard you mention grandmama's. My great grandmother's name.
You have heard me say that when she would come into Anson County. I'm trying to think what she called Daddy. Oh, and whatever she called him, I wouldn't be able to say it. No way.
No, you
But
wouldn't.
I can tell you what my aunt would call him. You know my little favorite word. That's what they would call him. That's what they would call him. But grandma, she was kind of short, but that woman may have been taller than I am. I really don't know. Because I didn't stay in the room with her too much. You know how I turns. You know your mama walks. You know I walk when I'm doing something. When I'm working or anything, I'm steady moving. Well, when she would come to Anson County, her little word would turn and turn in a whirl.
Yeah. Okay, so it was your
Turn
grandmother
and
that
turn
said
in a
that.
whirl. That would have
Okay.
been my grandmama, which would have been your great grandmama. And I guess
Okay.
that's why I moved so fast.
Yeah.
Because you better be turning when that woman would decide to come down south.
Mhm.
And I've always turned that way.
Well, let me ask this, Mama. So Odessa Bradley is whose sister?
My
Your
mama's sister.
okay. That's what I thought. That's Grandma Laney's sister.
My mama's
Okay.
sister.
Okay. Okay. So now, okay, I got it now because this. I'm sure I knew that turn and turn in the world. I guess I knew that was your grandmother saying it, but
That's
I knew
my
that I got
grandmother.
to turn
And
and turn in the world.
my mama saying there's a little saying that I can't say.
Yeah, yeah, we can't
The
say
one
it.
that mama said.
Yeah, you
Can't
can.
say
Yeah,
it out.
okay. Yeah, you can't. Get that blah 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 out your blah 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 and a blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like I say to people when I'm doing something, and I will say that to them, and hopefully they'll see this. I will tell them, I need you to move out of my way because I'm not accustomed to somebody being there. And when I'm moving fast, and I will run over you. And I know people are like, what do you mean she'll run over you? I
Uh-huh.
won't see you, so I'm going to be moving, and the force of me moving quickly, I'm going to bump into you, but I'm going to keep going. So I'm
True.
going to knock you down because
Uh-huh.
you're not expecting me not to stop, because you're
Uh-huh.
expecting me to see you. I don't see you. I'm on a mission then, and I'm moving. And I
On a
get that
mission.
from
And
Miss
you got
Gloria.
to get it done. Uh-huh.
Yeah, from Miss
Uh-huh.
Gloria. It's not to be disrespectful, but when I'm working, I'm working. And that's whether I'm doing physical work and people are around me or I'm actually working. Because when I'm working,
Mm-hmm.
I'm working. When I'm not, I'm
You
not.
work.
I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Because when I work, I give it all of my attention. And when I'm not working, you don't get my attention. So I think that's important. It's an important lesson also because what grandmother was saying was so multi-layered here when we talk about the food. But then I want to slide over here to this fat meat, as Mama likes to call it. Miss Gloria calls that fat meat. Guys,
Okay.
this is I can talk about Miss Gloria as a sushi. I grew up with mother using corn oil. Was it Mazola corn oil? But
Mazola corn.
that was before we got the canola oil and all that different stuff. That's what she seasoned her food with. So when I changed my diet long before I had the gastric sleeve surgery, it was no big deal for me because I realized this now. I didn't grow up eating my food prepared a certain way. So therefore I didn't have that taste. Also, once I had the gastric sleeve, because I'm always thinking, I think about, okay, what has helped me? I had already transitioned to eating 5 or 6 little meals a day because I had no blood sugar. So
Sure
I
had.
was eating fresh meat and I would eat a little carb, meaning I would eat a little white potato, I might eat a little sweet potato, but I was typically eating a protein and a vegetable or a fruit. And that's what I ate when I had my actual meals. Most times I would have a little carb there. So
Mm-hmm.
it was easy for me. And by me eating that way, I wasn't adding added fats. So
Mm-hmm.
you remember me talking about, white potatoes are sweet because I was eating just the potato. I wasn't
Right.
putting salt and pepper. It was just the potato. I'm like, oh, this is interesting because I did not know there was a sweetness there because I hadn't been eating them naked, so to speak. And so when you talk about, and this is a little running thing that's gonna piss Miss Gloria off, I'm gonna say it anyway. There are certain things that I always add for most times to my food.
Mhm.
Uh, Miss Gloria and I play this little game. She may not play with me. What are those things that I add that you can't stand?
Garlic,
And what else, Miss Gloria?
the onion powders or the onion whatever.
Mhm.
But I'm liking it now. I couldn't, but you done turned me on to it, so I put more garlic and more onion powders in my food now. But your daddy still don't want it put in there, but I still put some in there.
The thing is, guys, the running thing that we have with that Miss Gloria and I is if he's eating something that I prepared, it's in there.
I know.
But he don't want her to put it in. He gonna eat a lot of it,
He
and
gonna
he
eat a
gonna take
lot of it.
away, or either I'm gonna bring him up a lot of it. But he doesn't want her to do it. But Mama, what just popped in my mind? I don't know if maybe it's what else you put in there. So, and I never thought about you just now. Maybe it's the other things that you put in there, and it doesn't
Doesn't
it
mesh,
doesn't meld
doesn't
it
go
out.
together.
Yeah, they don't play together. They don't marinate together well. And that could be it, because I never thought to ask you what else did you put in it? Because when I was home about a month ago now, you had cooked what you had done, some oxtails.
Uh-huh.
And was that what I went back and seasoned some more?
Uh-huh.
Because I'm like,
You put
because I
all
was
that
like,
stuff
okay,
in
I
there.
needed something to eat. Now she's like, what you got? She said, I'm good, because it was a protein. And then I'm like, this doesn't taste. I didn't have a flavor. And everybody knows, because I only eat a little bit, you gotta have some flavor. But then Mama was like, well, I did this, and I'm like, well, what are you doing? And she's like, well, it doesn't have the. I don't taste what she needed to taste. She didn't taste the meat didn't have flavor. And so we went about trying to well, we didn't go about trying. I went about
He did it.
making that meat taste good. But it took a whole lot of stuff to do it.
Good grief.
And of course, I won't measure, guy, because I cook by feel. I only measure when I got to put it in the cookbook. But and I worked, and I'm like, this is still not it. Because then I'm like, no, that's not it. And so basically, I started with a broth, and I built that broth up to level that flavor. Then I added it to the oxtails. But then I still had to add more, because once it met the oxtail, what the broth had, that flavor, it was gone, because the oxtails had no flavor. And so I had to then build it up again. And I think, well, she said I did it, so I never got a chance to taste them after they would have sat and simmered in the liquid and everything. But again, like I said, it just hit me that maybe when you add the garlic and onion, because you're putting other things there, maybe they don't marinate well together. And so therefore he's tasting more garlic and onion powder than what he does when I do it. I don't know.
Okay. I just cook. I didn't want to do it, but he brought them in here. I just cook almost a half a bushel. I think it's a half a bushel of squash.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that. But since the squash, he brought the squash in here Saturday, I threw a lot of them
Yeah,
out.
it's done
But I
bad.
tried to lay them out so they wouldn't go into that heat or whatever it does and start rotting and all that. But I think I put 10 onions in there.
Mm-hmm.
Do I make myself clear?
Mm-hmm.
And he is going to say that you didn't put any onion in here. And that was the same way I did those oxtails. And when I talk about onions, can I run for 1 second?
Go right here, Miss Gloria. You talking about them big old onions. Go ahead, Miss
We're
Gloria.
talking about onions. When I say onion, I'm coming. I'm back. When some people say onion, and I say something, they don't know what I'm talking about. Because when I say onion, this is an onion. I put about 10 in there, and they are floating and they're standing up in there. But there's a possibility you can see them, and they're good onion because they'll make you cry, but you may not taste them. That was the same. This is the same thing that I did for those oxtails. I didn't have to put that many in there, but at least I put 4 onions this size, y'all, this size, in
You
those
couldn't
oxtails.
approve, you couldn't
But
approve it by me.
but it didn't come through. They
No,
didn't come through.
no,
It didn't
no.
come through.
because I didn't, and you may have told me, but I didn't even realize you put onions in the oxtails because
Oh
there
my
was no
goodness,
flavor there.
yes. Oh my goodness,
Um,
yes.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, but it goes back also to trying to please people, and who cooked this and who cooked that.
Uh-huh.
If you have eaten before you leave home, people, it don't matter who cooked it. It don't matter. Bless your soul. It don't matter if there's enough salt in the rice. It don't matter if they didn't get enough mayo in the potato salad, enough onions and pickles, and and a little sprig of sugar and a this and that. I had to be her sous chef when she was making potato salad when I was growing up, and it takes a lot to make potato salad taste the way Miss Gloria wants it to taste. What you
To
want to
make
say, Miss
potato
Gloria?
salad, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you better not give my secret away in potato salad now. I thought you
Oh
were gonna
no,
come out with it. You better not. You better not.
no. It's part of my secret for my deviled eggs. And
Oh,
no.
oh, that's
Uh-huh.
it. Okay.
Uh-huh. 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 I do a little other things in there that you never did when you were doing deviled eggs, but I put that in there. And
Okay.
I think it makes all the difference. And someone said to me, "Oh no, don't give that away." And I said, "No, I'm not. I'll give you a good deviled egg recipe, but I won't give you that
Uh,
recipe
uh,
because it's your secret for your potato salad."
yes,
And
yes.
so I just carried it over to my deviled eggs. But again, and let me say this, guys. This is a public service announcement or commercial or ad, whatever you want to call it. My deviled eggs are good. No, don't let me blow smoke up my. Miss Gloria, what you think about my Mama had not eaten my deviled eggs until maybe was it about 2 years ago?
Maybe so. They're delicious. They are truly delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know. I didn't think about that being in there. I had thought about something else being in there.
He could be in there
But
too, but we got to
I
talk
haven't. I
offline.
haven't tried it though. I had thought about, okay, she put such thing in there. But now you put my potato salad stuff in there. So that's why they are delicious. They off the
Mhm,
chain. Oh boy.
mhm,
They'll
mhm,
be fighting over those eggs.
mhm. And I do, guys, I do at least 18 eggs. But that's 36 eggs. So, but usually I do 18. I don't do 12, I do 18 because I like them too. And, I make them every now and then, but, they're protein. So I like them too. But yeah, um, but again, you can't please everybody. And if
Yeah.
you know that you hard to please, who made this, who made that, when you go out, I'm not saying this is what grandma was thinking about, but it just popped in my head. You ain't got to worry about who cooked it. Because you're not hungry. Well, let me say it different. You may feel a little emptiness, but you're not starving. You don't
True.
have to be held captive to who cooked this and who cooked that. Oh, I want some. Now, who cooked it? Oh, so and so. You can't say, oh, I don't want it now. Because you
Uh-uh.
already said you wanted it because
Gotta
you
go with, oh, that looks good. Oh, it looks delicious. Oh my God. Oh my.
and you're gonna have to eat it because they're watching you.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because then you're offending people. But
You
if
are.
you're not hungry,
Mm-hmm.
you can go and be just fine. I gotta say this, Miss Gloria, and you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. Many moons ago, when I was a little girl, we were down at Mama's home church,
Mm-hmm.
and she wrote a slice to somebody's pound cake,
Mm-hmm.
and the person cut a slice of the pound cake. Now this
Mm-hmm.
person could cook a pound cake,
They cook a
and they
pound cake.
they cut Mama a slice of their pound cake. Now Mama says, and I do remember, God knows I remember that the slice was so thin.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Mama having something rolled up in her hand. It was
Balled
so
up in my
thin.
hand. Balled it
She
up.
rolled that slice of pound cake up in her hand.
Mm-hmm.
We left the church at that point too. Your mama is crazy.
But you
But
got to remember, I wouldn't have even wanted a slice of her pound cake if she hadn't have been telling me to come. I mean, before we got to the church, to come and get a slice of her cake.
okay.
Come and get a slice of her cake. Once I tasted her cake, I was going to want the recipe for it. I didn't ask for the recipe because I didn't even taste the cake. If I'm going to give you something, if I don't even have enough of it for myself, I'm going to give it to you. I'm not going to give you something that I can hold up. You know, I have to hold it careful and I can look through it. I could look through that slice of cake. It was just that thin. So I had to still put on that face about how good it was. And the possibility it was truly good because she could bake a pound cake. But I didn't even try the pound cake because what you wanted me to get a slice of it. I didn't ask you for the slice. And then what you gave me, it told me I didn't want it. I didn't want that because who do you think I am? So I just balled it up in my hand like it was a piece of paper and threw it down on the ground once we got outside. That was the end of it. But now when they wanted to know how was the cake, you know, it was the best cake. But you know, back in the day, your mama would make baking pound cakes too. It was just something that I loved to do. I'd come in and bake them every day and give them to people. But I grew out of that phase. I grew out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then that's wrong though. But say for instance, I have called you and told you that I'm going to bring something and I want you to come and get some. Now, the difference in me and other people's, what I would have done, if I'm bringing you something, you know me, I would have already cut you off a hunk of it and had your hunk somewhere where nobody could bother it. Because you know how funny we are, where nobody could bother it. And then to make it so the other people wouldn't have felt bad, I would have probably told you in advance, I'm just going to give you a little slice to taste now because I can't give everybody that nice thick slice that I'm going to give you. So you taste it, but you got a real slice. You have a real slice. It would have been fine, but that was not the case. So I threw it away. I don't play that.
And I never forgot it.
Uh-huh. Because if you're supposed to stand, they don't stand for anything. You better stand for something.
And so as you started to say, it was a piece of paper. It was trash.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
It was trash. I threw
yeah,
it away.
because it was so thin. You
Mhm.
literally, she rolled it up in her hand
I
because I'm
rolled
like,
up my
it
hand.
rolled up in her hand,
And
and
if
she.
people, hold on, let me cut you off here. And if people just give you a regular slice, you cannot ball it up in your hand. I don't mean they got to give you a hunk. If they just give you a regular slice of cake, just a regular slice, you can't ball that up in your hand.
Mm-mm.
So you can imagine what they gave me for me to can ball it in my hand. It was nothing. It was nothing. But I didn't get angry or anything though, because all I had to do was ask for the recipe, and I'd go home and I'd make it myself. And if you didn't watch me, I'd make it better than what yours was because I'd come up with a little extra, put a little extra twist on it. Because you know how I am about flavoring. I put a little extra twist in there.
Well, absolutely, Miss Gloria. And the children are watching because I've never forgotten that. And I got to go now and say, you see, you have to put on that face about how good it was. Now you remember, and I'm telling because I always say I was a very precocious child. You remember that time you drugged me from your sister's house?
Uh-huh.
And dug your fingernails in my wrist and drug me back up to the church because I had left the church without asking permission. And
Uh-huh.
I think that was during that time I used to say you was a put on.
Uh-huh.
When I
Uh-huh.
used to say that you put on,
You most certainly
I
did
used to
sound
say I
like
was so precocious. I didn't understand. See, I should just say you have to put on that face that it was very good, even though she rolled that piece of cake up. Because I remember seeing it because she was rolling it. I mean, it was that thin that she could roll it, and then she threw that away. Like I said, the children are watching. I never forgot that. But there's a lesson in even with what you just said. And now we talk about me used to saying you put on, but it was interesting that I could create that term. That was the only way that I could describe it. But basically, you weren't code switching, but you could call it code switching. But you had to be a certain person in different situations.
mm-hmm.
And that's something we have to learn. So
Mm-hmm.
going back to eat before you leave home, so you won't be eating like people say eat like a pig. If you
Mm-hmm.
know you like good food and you like to eat a whole lot of it,
Mm-hmm.
you just can't go out eating like that because people gonna stare at you. They would
Mm-hmm.
have talked about you then. Now they're gonna take pictures of you and put it on social media
Want
and
to go.
broadcast it everywhere. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be cognizant of how you must behave in different situations. And like I said, I had left the church without my mama permission, going to her sister's house. There was one house in between my aunt's house and church. Mama came and got me. I don't know how she realized I was down there. And she had me by my wrist. I never forget it. 'Cause I did have some little scabs, but they gone. I
Uh-huh.
had some scabs. Mama brought me, just drove me right over back up to the church. And let me tell you something. I didn't do that no more.
Do that anymore, did you?
Mm,
Can't
I did.
walk away. Can't walk away without telling me that you're walking away, because I know what can happen if people walking away. Glory, please don't get. And it's nothing funny. But as I tell people, I laugh at the wrong
You
time.
do, mother.
I laugh at stuff that's not funny. And then after I laugh, I'll start crying because I'm wrong. But like most people laugh at some of everything. I don't. I don't see
Mm-hmm.
the humor in it.
Mm-hmm. Nah, mama, you don't see the human muscle anything.
Oh,
Yeah, 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 yeah. I would tell Mama this if we won't talk with Miss Gloria. That's the reason I told Mama I got to let people see how me and Miss Gloria get along. Yeah, Mama sees the human nothing, and some of that I have for anyone listening. I get some of that from Mother. I think about when I used to lie back there in the bedroom, and I went through this thing about being pessimistic. Well, being optimistic and pessimistic because something, of course, Bert Lyles had said to me, "Are you going to believe everything that somebody says to you?" But there was a conversation going on with you and me, and we had it multiple times where people set you up. You think that you're getting ready to go on vacation,
hmm
and they get you all worked up, meaning that you're preparing for you. And then when you think y'all getting ready to go, you don't go.
hmm
And so you taught me early, rightfully or wrongfully so, you got to be able to sift it through the sifter, that you have to look at that from two perspectives. You know, yes, you prepare because you always think the best
yeah.
and hope for the best. But you also, which you didn't say it this way, which I'll say it this way, you got to know who you're dealing with. When you know who you're dealing with, you know whether the odds are that that's going to occur or it's not going to occur. And if you don't understand that and you keep getting you're constantly disappointed, it's not about them at that point, baby. It's
hmm
about you. Because don't you see that every time you think you're getting ready to do X, Y, Z, it always falls through?
hmm
I mean, come on. And if that's a deal breaker for you, then you need to get stepping.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I remember that, and I remember several situations, and in my child mind, I'm like, okay, see, my mama always pessimistic, and I probably was like that in my 20s too. But I done lived a whole lot of life since then. Now it's like, mama knew.
But daughter, uh, it's not pessimistic. It's just like you said. Know who you're dealing with.
Come on.
Know who you are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And once, you don't have to show me that pattern but one time. But I'm going to play your game, though, that we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But I know all the time we're not going to do it. Uh, because, for one, I don't want to go there. One thing, your word is not like my word.
Come on.
I tell you, we're going to turn it. We're
We're
going
gonna
to
do
turn that.
it.
I mean, we're going to turn it. Because Mom
Mm-hmm.
said you better turn it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh
If,
yes.
if I say that we are going to, we got to go for. If I tell you that we're going to go, if I tell you we're going to go up to Burger King,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what the problem comes up or what goes.
We're
You
gonna
are
do
going to Burger King because I said that's where you were
it.
going.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just saying that to get rid of you. You're going.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't go, I'm going to pay somebody else to take you there
Yep.
because that was my word. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But now that little vacation stuff and going places, uh, unless I have planned it myself. If I plan it, you going. But now if somebody else is planning
Lord.
it,
They say the tree, what they say, the apple don't fall far from the tree. I just had a thought. I just had a thought. You
Uh-huh.
know, I know a lot of people that we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that,
Uh-huh.
and it
Oh,
never
all right now.
it never materializes. But again, they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
That's so true.
So you can't get upset with them. But what happens is you become desensitized to it. So you know they say you're gonna do this. You don't even tune into it. You go along with it.
Go
Then
along with it.
going back, put on that face now. You
Uh-huh.
go along with it. You do the good conversation and the this and the
And you
that.
be happy about it and this
Yes,
and
and
that.
then you start inquiring about it as you
Uh-huh.
get closer to that time. And then
Uh-huh.
it's like they'll say, "Oh, I got to do X, Y, Z." Now, come on now, baby.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We done planned this, and
Uh-huh.
now we 2 weeks out,
Uh-huh.
and you gonna go, you got to do X, Y, Z. Where is the accountability? Why could you not just be honest and say, "Hey, I know we talked about doing this. It was my idea, but I'm not gonna be able to do this." There's
Mhm.
no accountability. Again, eat before you leave home. Because
That's
you see, if I done handled it for myself, I ain't talking no food now, guys. If I done handled it for myself, I don't have to worry about it. I'm now not going to be trying to run around and find something to eat, trying to run around and find something to do because I understood who I was dealing with. And
uh-huh.
because I understood that I'm not hungry. Because you see, I had a contingency plan. I was always gonna do X, Y, Z because see, you done showed me 50 times
Uh-huh.
that your word don't mean nothing.
Mean nothing.
Even if we done paid some money,
It don't
your
mean
word don't mean nothing.
nothing.
You got to know who you're dealing with.
I know who
Eat
you did.
before you leave home means a whole lot of things, guys.
It means a
It's just
whole lot
food.
of things. It
It's
really
food.
does.
You got to know
Really
what
does.
you're dealing with, who you dealing with, who sets you up, not because they want to, but because we got them fly by the night people that's in our lives. They float here, they float there, like I said earlier, to somebody. I know people, they like a feather. They just float around like a butterfly if you want them to be butterfly. Here, was it Muhammad Ali? Oh, they do be punching a sting though. He floated like a butterfly and whatever like could be. Well, it do kind of
It's like a
sting
big.
you the first couple of times. You get your hopes up and it's like, oh, he's like, oh. Well, after that, you ought not be oohing no more because come on, you get yourself 3 times. Come on now, he got up on the third day. After that third time, you should know. Now, what did I used to say, Miss Gloria? Let's see if you're gonna remember this. I used to say I give a person how many times? You remember?
I'm
Before
trying
they
to.
are out, I give them how many strikes?
You don't give a person with 3 strikes.
That's it.
Uh-huh.
That's it. And I started saying that as a child. I
Uh-huh.
give you 3 strikes, you out.
Mhm.
And at
Well,
that
I would give you all the strikes that you need. I will give them all that you need. But the thing about it, I know from the onset that whatever we are dealing with, it's not there. You know what I mean? So I'm different from other people.
me glory.
You got
So
to show
you
me. I'm a show me person. And when you show me, you better be actually show me. Because this little sweet talk, it means nothing to me. Now that should be in mama's head. And I think it is in there some kind of way. It means nothing to me, but I'm gonna be on it though. I mean, I'm gonna be interested in it. But I know it's not gonna materialize. It's not gonna materialize. And if I could tell other people's that somehow or another, and let them play the game too. It's just a game that people's playing, but they really might not know that that's what they're doing. But that's what it is. They are playing a game with you, so you play it better. Always play it better. But now if it happens to materialize, you roll with it and everything is good. But if it do not materialize, it's no big deal because you didn't know you knew it was not gonna fly to start with. But you just played along with it. Well,
Well, Miss
I'm
Gloria, what that says to me is, and I think we're going to leave folks on that, um, and that is don't put your hopes in other people.
don't put your hope in them. Please don't.
Don't put
Please.
your hopes in other people.
Mm.
As I say all the time, your saying is trust no. What is it, Miss Gloria? Trust
Trust
no.
no man, no woman, no boy, no girl. And if they can't ever prove themselves to you, you just ha ha ha, and you love them right on. and jump right on. Trust no man, no woman, no boy, no girl. And if they happen to prove themselves to you, great. And then if they don't prove themselves to you, it's still great. Because you were not disappointed because you hadn't expected anything out of them to start with. And it's bad for me to look at it that way, but it's true.
Well, y'all heard it from Miss Gloria, as I like to call her, Miss Gloria. Miss Gloria done told you. Trust no man, woman, boy, or girl. This
What
is
my
something
mom
I heard all my life. So that's the reason sometimes I'm a little queer. That was the old word that they used to use when I was growing up. It had nothing to do with sexual orientation. It meant I was a little odd. But I learned that, and what I think you said, and I don't know if I wrote it and Mama said that way, but just watch them out. You'll see what's to do. Just watch them,
and be
and they'll
happy.
show you.
Don't be sad. You watch them, and they'll show you who they are. But you still don't let on that they have shown you. You just jump right on. Just jump right on.
And
But
because somebody will say,
but
you pretend to be something you're not, aren't you? I mean, am I being true to myself? Am I being my authentic self? Am I being true in this whatever situation, be it work, be it relationships? Am I being true to myself? Am I being honest?
the person that's doing it, are you referring to me?
Me, you, but not the person that's doing it. You, yourself.
I'm being true to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I truly am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm truly being true to me.
Mm-hmm.
And because if I was one that feeds into stuff, I would really be hurting myself. I'd be hurting myself. But I'm true to myself because if you haven't proved it to me, I just never say a word. I just and what did you just say about Muhammad Ali just now?
Was it
Like a
a butterfly sting like a bee?
just keep right on floating and stinging, and everything's good.
So we're gonna float and sting Miss Gloria.
Float and sting right on.
Well, I tell you, I'm gonna make a note of that because there's a whole lot in that floating and stinging. We may have to come back to floating and stinging like a butterfly. Put him Muhammad Ali because a whole lot that can mean a whole lot. But I do agree, and I think like I said, that message of don't put your hopes in other people. I often say, and I'm a little better at it, sometimes you can't control yourself. You can't control other people. And we'll say, I would never do that. And then we turn right around and we do it.
Mm-hmm. That's
We'll,
so true.
we'll
So
turn
true.
right around and we do it. So again, don't put your hopes in other people. Try to stay focused on what you can control. Yes, ma'am. I read your last word.
I'm really not about to say that when you said I'm going to say this. Even if you do get caught out there, whatever that situation is, see it through and then move on. I think that should be in that's somewhere, whether it's in the book or whether it's somewhere else in some of your writer. If you get caught out there, you do decide to help somebody, and it doesn't pan out right for you. I cause it going to the left, and it goes to the left and go fast. You got to see it through because you done stepped out there. So see it through. But after you see it through, move on. Move on.
Well, you've heard me say this.
Move
And this, I'm gonna change it, but usually I will say, learn everything you can and get out. Once you've seen everything and it doesn't sit well with you, get
Get
out.
So that's where that runs comes in, huh? How you supposed to run?
Run.
That's where you run. Okay, I got you.
Mhm.
Got you.
All right, Miss Gloria, I always like chatting with you, getting a little bit of wisdom, conversations with Miss Gloria. You always bring it. Until next time, my sign off. Before you go try and take care of somebody else, please, Miss Gloria, try to take care of yourself first.
Thank you.
I mean that too, Miss Gloria, because we didn't have a conversation offline. Take care of yourself first.
Okay, I got you.
Right.
I'm on it. I'm on it. What you said. I'm on it.
All right then. Bye now.
Okay, bye.